Hey guys, my name is Tal and welcome back to my channel. If you are new, my channel is all about low-income housing tax credit programs and how you can apply and just the different steps, the different information that you need to know so the application process could be smoother for you. However, today we're going to talk about life after moving into an affordable housing apartment. Someone requested this video, so I do feel as though it's beneficial. Like, it's good to know what to expect when you move in. So let's get into it. And also, one thing I do want to point out is that this video or the information on this channel, it applies to low-income housing tax credit, not low-income housing Section 8 programs. Section 8 programs are different. So I just want you guys to know that so you're not misinformed. Okay, so as you guys may know, the low-income housing tax credit program, they assess incomes within a 12-month period. They want to know what's projected for the next 12 months. So there's different types of buildings as it pertains to tax credit program. So you have what's called 100% tax credit building. Oftentimes those buildings only do what's called a student status recertification. What that means that once you are in the property, that annual recertification that you do does not require any income and or asset information. It only requires you to complete a form, the student status verification form, and just to indicate that, you know, the student status for your household. As you guys may know, is that a household that why am I mixing up my words? So let's backtrack because I'm not an editor, so I'm not gonna edit this video. Okay, as you may know, for low-income housing tax credit programs, your household cannot be entirely full-time students unless you meet one of the 5 exemptions. So for buildings that's 100% tax credit and they only do the student status cert, that is the reason why you're provided with a student status verification. So you just have to indicate what is the student status for the members in your household. And that's all you have to do. And that is amazing. So those buildings are much easier. Us compliance, we love those buildings because you don't have to do, you know, much physical work because we're not collecting any asset or income information, right? So once you provide that documentation, as long as your household is not entirely full-time students, you are fine. If your household is entirely full-time students, then we have to explore that to see if you meet any of the exemptions. And unfortunately, if you do not meet any of the exemptions, you can get evicted because your household would no longer qualify for the tax credit program. Yes, student status is very significant when it comes to low-income housing tax credit program. So please read up on it, right? So you could have a full understanding. So that is the ideal situation to be in 100% tax credit building. On the other side, we have just a normal, it could be like a 80-20 building. And what a 80-20 building is that 80% of the building is market rate and 20% is our tax credit. So for those buildings, typically you have to do a full certification. So what that means is that similar to the move-in process, you have to provide all those documentation for all household members. And they'll review it, they'll calculate your income and asset, the whole information. The only thing is that the income that you make, like, you're no longer required to meet an income bracket once you're residing in a low-income housing tax credit apartment. So it's not like if you no longer qualify for the bracket that you initially qualified for, it's not like you're gonna be evicted. So it's a loss for the landlord if residents are no longer eligible, but there's no impact for you, the residents. So don't be concerned, because a lot of there's a lot of misinformation, and I see this, and it always breaks my heart, because people think once they're in the building they can't make a certain amount of money because their income has to stay low. That is not true. And I feel as though a lot of people didn't increase their employment potentials or explore other employment options because they feel as though they have to maintain a low income in order to still reside in the building. So that is not true. So if you know anyone that may have that same mindset, please inform them that that is not true. So once you provide your income and asset information, they're gonna do all the calculation. You have to sign like the tick and all of that information, just similar to what you'll do in the initial process. But again, it has no bearings on whether you stay in the apartment or not. If the building that you reside in is a rent stabilized building, your rent amount is not going to be contingent on your income, right? So your rent can only increase by the amount determined by the rent guideline board. So whatever that annual increases, that's what that annual or that 1 or 2 year increase, whatever the 1 or 2 year increase is, that's how much your rent will increase by, because you'll be given the option to select a 1 year lease or a 2 year lease as to, how long you want to you want to renew your lease for. So even if you select a 2 year lease, just again know that the rent will only be based on what the rent guideline board increases. So that is good, and that should alleviate a lot of pressure from you guys that's thinking that their income will impact whether they stay in the building or not. One thing I want to say, right? A lot of times, and I talk about this in other videos, oftentimes during that first year recertification period, that is when a lot of residents get evicted. And you know why that happens? Because they were not transparent, or they withheld information during the leasing process, and it may have gotten by. However, when they're now presenting your documents, because remember, if you moved in, say for example, if you moved in April of 2020, you're gonna get your recertification, you're gonna be up for recertification. You get a notice 120 days before the month that you're supposed to recertify, right? So a lot of times people lie about when their employment started. People lie about a lot of different things, and it didn't immediately impact them during the leasing process, because sometimes things may somehow slip through, right? Or they may even have their employer change information in their favor. These things happen because sometimes people just go to their managers and say, hey, just write this or write that. But the following year, that's when it catches up on them, because they forgot that they modified information, and we're now seeing retroactive information that's contradicting. I talked about this in one of my videos. There was this man, and just an exact example, he lied and stated that he was not employed, right? He said he was not employed, and it was only his wife working. And they got the apartment because, he proved the last employer he worked for and everything. And during the first year recertification period, when they looked at his pay stubs, they saw that his start date was prior to the move-in date. And there's a reaffirmation of income document that you sign right before you sign the lease. And when he signed that document and indicated that nothing changed with his income, but his pay stub showed that he started way before that date that he signed that paper. So even if he didn't disclose it initially, him signing that paper was a blatant lie, because he knew that he was earning income. And sure enough, him, his wife, and their one child were evicted because they defraud the system. So guess what? He only enjoyed that apartment for 1 year. He only enjoyed that apartment for 1 year. And now he has to relocate, and that's because he withheld information. So that's why it's so critical, and I stress it so much. Be forthcoming, and do not think to be, do not think to withhold any information, because it will catch up on you. There is other people that they lied and said they were not a full-time student, but the first year for their recertification, it shows, because you have to get a letter. If you're in school, you have to get a letter showing your student status. I've seen people where it showed that they were a full-time student. This one person, she sent her transcript. And every document we get, we're looking at the whole thing. So it showed that she's been a full-time student, even though she said she wasn't a full-time student. And guess what? Eviction. So don't let that be you, right? So the point of this video is that's the life after affordable housing. If you get 100% building, and you wouldn't really know if it's 100%, I guess you could ask a specialist, like, do you guys do a full recertification upon once you move in? Do you do a full recertification, or do you only do a student status recertification? You can ask them that to see if they know. They may or may not know, but you can ask. So it's great if it's 100% and you only need to sign a student status affidavit affirming what the student status for everyone in your household is. It's also fine if you have to do a full recertification, because when you do, it's not going to impact you whether or not you make, regardless of how much money you make. So it's not like you could get evicted for that, right? But the point is this: knowing what the life looks like for once you move in. I trust that you guys will make sure you do your due diligence during the initial process, so that way you could get it right, so there's no hiccups when you move in. I felt like I was talking fast again, but I hope that video helped. And let me know if you have any questions. This is like a quick video because I was actually supposed to make this video yesterday, but I got caught up. But I hope this information helped. If you have any questions, comment below. And if you're enjoying the channel, subscribe, share the video with a friend, give me your feedback. But most importantly, let me know if you have any questions, and let me know what you would like me to talk about in my next video. As always, thank you guys for watching. And I must say, I want to acknowledge that I've noticed a better trend with the comments. I noticed that a lot of you guys are more positive, and I'm loving that. That's the energy that I want to see. And as I always say, I encourage you to read the comments that others have left, just to, be encouraged and know that it's possible. We have a lot of testimonials of people actually saying they watched my channel, they follow the steps, and they got the apartment. So look out for the good comments, guys, and be of good courage. All right. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. I'll do 2 more videos for April, since I failed on doing the 2 for March. But yeah, thank you for watching, and have an amazing day.